Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video from Backlot Banter. My name, of course, Tucker Hazel. We all know me, we all love me. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Abram Buhner, who nobody seems to want. And today, we're talking about a game that nobody seems to want, nobody asked for, I guess is what I should have said. Everybody want to switch. Nintendo has stealth announced a first-party Nintendo game coming out in 1 month. But this is not just our thoughts on this game. I also have sort of solicited a few thoughts from a couple members of our community. And if you want to be involved in that in the future, if you want to be solicited from, and God, when it comes from us, you're going to want to be solicited from, you can join our Discord. That's got a link in the description. You know, in that general vicinity, there's like, I think a subscribe button, a like, comment. Yeah, I think that's a new feature. Abram, we have a sequel to 1-2 Switch coming in 30 days as of the time of announcement and recording. I want your first thoughts and what your first thoughts were as soon as it was announced, because we kind of have a funny story of how you found out about this game.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't, we chat very often, but you rarely are like really trying to call me. Usually
yeah, no, I almost never.
Usually it's mostly text.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to Jean, and I see not only the Discord notification Tucker's trying to call, but a missed WhatsApp notification. So I'm thinking, something of import has happened, and something of import arguably did.
Yeah, something of import to us,
right? Because we are both 1-2 Switch fans.
We are, yes.
We are on the right side of history with the 1-2 Switch issue, and I think everybody, it's singular non-possessive, or I guess plural collective non-possessive. I forget the exact terminology. Sure. Everybody 1-2 Switch. It's almost like a command.
It's a command. Yeah. You're not being asked. You're being demanded to 1-2 Switch.
Right.
Everybody 1-2 Switch right the fuck now.
Yeah, it's
That's the subtitle. That's down below in parentheses.
Yeah, it's like Wario Get It Together, but if they just called the game Get It Together.
It's like Mount Wario.
Right.
It's a command.
I am excited because I really do enjoy 1-2 Switch. I think that the game coming in at $30 immediately sort of eschews one of the major issues people had with 1-2 Switch.
Absolutely.
And I do contend to this day, as you do also, that if the game had been priced differently, the first one, 1-2 Switch, would have been received a whole hell of a lot better. So I want to say that the game is set up for success.
I don't.
But this is not the first time we've actually heard about this game.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to spend a quote-unquote significant period of time talking about the leaked reporting around this title, because there is basically nothing official to go off of right now.
Yeah. There is actually only one still, which is very funny. There's a good amount of key art.
Right.
But there is one still of this game, which is just two people standing there with Joy-Cons pressing it like it's like a cartoon Acme fucking TNT activation thing. And then a pink background. Why they would just choose one still? I think no stills actually makes more sense.
I agree.
But one is just the silliest amount of stills you could possibly choose.
Well, because I was talking to Jean, get off the call. I sit down and make a thumbnail, and I'm like, well, I want to get myself fully prepared. I'm gonna go watch the Everybody 1-2 Switch reveal trailer.
Yeah, which does not exist.
Doesn't exist.
We have to get one.
There will
sometime before the game comes out.
Certainly, there will be a trailer at some point. I just don't understand why that some point's not today.
No, of course.
So, Tucker, before we really get into the sort of, I suppose it's troubled backstory of what this game is.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm excited because this is weird.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I'm excited for it. There are a couple of examples over the last couple years in the Switch's lifetime of Nintendo stealth announcing something very strange for the system. And it's primarily their more casual focused software that they don't feel has a place in their directs, which I personally disagree with. I think that it would be really fun to have something like the Labo reveal trailer or Ring Fit Adventure to show up alongside other things in a Nintendo Direct. Because really, what's the difference? I mean, we just get to have a moment reacting to it if it was in there. And I would have loved to have a live reaction to the 1-2 Switch, or Everybody 1-2 Switch reveal trailer. And so, but I kind of like that they have this extra element of casual software that are just like, I fucking put it on Twitter at Thursday at like 7 p.m. But nothing about this game gives me confidence. I'm excited for it because it's weird, and I'm excited to play it because it's weird. But there's nothing going for this game at all.
Yeah. You make a good point. I think actually one other thing to talk about before we get into sort of the reporting about this game is that you're right about that $30 price point. There's actually quite a precedent for it. Beyond the titles you've even mentioned, talking about things like Game Builder Garage also came out.
Oh, great point.
At 30. But when you look at Game Builder Garage, you look at Big Brain Academy, you look at Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training, which I think was around a similar price point. I have that game, but it's from European account. I don't really remember how much I actually paid for it. I imagine that if they released it in the States, it would have.
It's in fake money,
right? It was play money. It was Monopoly money essentially that I used to buy the game.
That funny little E with the line through. What the hell is that? Give me an S,
right?
Like a real man. An S with a line through. That makes a lot more sense. It's not arbitrary. Trust me.
The challenge with those games is that they're not that good. Frankly, they're interesting by their own right, but something about this $30 lack of marketing scenario does not communicate a lot of confidence, because you gotta even think about Ring Fit Adventure. While that was sort of broken out from the other announcements around that time, they made a deal out of that. That was a moment. They said, "Hey, tune back in tomorrow where we're going to be revealing this wacky new thing you can use with your Nintendo Switch."
And then after Labo as well, if I recall correctly, that was a long goddamn time ago. But I believe there was like hey, we're dropping something new is This Way Comes, and then it was like fucking reveal trailer where it was like cardboard things slotting down to it.
It was super cool. It was a great trailer.
That's a great fucking trailer. Yeah.
And I
actually showed that trailer to my parents, and I'm like, I want this. I never got it. I did. It's probably a good thing. But
I'm a variety kid owner.
What about Everybody Want to Switch? Why it doesn't quite have the same treatment?
It doesn't quite have the same treatment, and it's arguable that the reason for that is because the game is apparently not good.
Yes. By all measures, every detail that we have going towards this game points to it not being a good experience for us in 30 days.
Yeah, as a friend of ours, straight up Botox Media said in his video that he put up just a couple hours ago about this subject, he was saying that Emily Rogers was reporting not only of the game's existence back a while ago, but also of its issues in terms of not doing well with QA and playtesting and everything. But it really was the man, the myth, the legend, Imran Khan, reporting for Fanbyte, who gave us some more details. And I want people to bear with me for a second, because I'm going to read somewhat of a lengthy excerpt from his piece, mostly because, A, this information is seemingly entirely correct, and B, Nintendo's giving us the information. So for us to actually have a game to discuss, we need to go to Imran.
We're going to be combining outside sources from 1 year ago and one piece of key art.
Yeah.
That is our information about this game that we were going to base a conversation on.
Yes, and this excerpt that I'm going to read is going to shed some light on what immediately caught my eye in the key art, which is the Bizarre Horseman.
That's fucking crazy, man.
So, and we'll leave this full article in the description so people can have a look for themselves and refer back to it. But, quote, and I'm pulling from the middle of the piece here. The inspiration came from Jackbox Games, developer of Jackbox Party Pack series. Games like You Don't Know Jack, Fibbage, Quiplash, and others are popular at parties, inspiring the Everybody's 1-2 Switch team to establish a game show-like theme with a host and more participants, as opposed to the original game setup of having 2 users with a Joy-Con, each going up against each other.
Or one if you're playing sandwich eating contest.
Great point.
There should have been an asterisk there and at the bottom of the article. Or one if you're playing baby and you're just rocking the Switch.
I will note that maybe Imran's information is inaccurate, because he does refer to the game as Everybody's *S.
Oh, that's terrible. If only there was another way, that could have not been true.
Opposed to the original setup, Everybody's 1-2 Switch had many more players at once. With the use of smartphones, as I do see in the key art, The game could have lobbies as big as 100 players, thus the name Everybody's 1-2-Switch.
It's close to everybody as far as I know.
The idea on paper was solid. Nintendo EPD Group 4 designed a host for the minigames based on international appeal, a bipedal horse that looked like a man wearing a rubber horse mask.
This seems pretty accurate.
The game's text simply referred to him as horse because it sounded enough like the English word host that it would come across in different languages. Minigames would ask players to physically move around the environment for things like musical chairs or use their phone to say bingo. There's even a game that resembled a virtual version of Spin the Bottle that involved saying something nice about another person.
What?
And now here's the crux of the issue.
So all of that is information that is probably accurate about this game. And it is, as you were saying, more information that is currently provided about the game by Nintendo. They have an official page up. The game is actually available for not only pre-order, but you can download it on your Switch.
Right.
It won't do anything for a month, but him listing those kind of games, that's more information than Nintendo's willing to provide about this game at the moment.
Yeah, and it is important just to note, and I'll just read this out very, very quickly. This is what Nintendo actually says about the game.
Sure.
Want a party? Break out the Nintendo Switch system and laugh it up at your next game night. Mix up your next get-together with Everybody 1-2-Switch game. Hold on. Sorry. Let's try that again.
With the Everybody 1-2-Switch game.
Grab some Joy-Con trademark controllers
TM.
or smart
asterisk
or smart devices, double asterisk,
asterisk,
for team-based games that are easy to set up and feature everything from balloons to aliens and more. People at your next party can get moving and show off their teamwork in this multiplayer mashup. A mix of games and modes to keep you on your toes.
Whoa.
Use Joy-Con controllers or smart devices, team up, and let the games begin. Split into teams and see which group can win a certain number of games first. Many games have several variations that change up the rules or add extra challenge. That sounds essentially exactly in line with what Imran has written here.
Well, yeah, because it's actually mostly just like you could use this to describe any party game.
the smartphone and the massive people being the two things.
Sure.
Report. But what I'm about to read from Imran's report, believe it or not, is not on the official Nintendo page.
No, and
Imran writes, "It tested horribly. When playtesting groups received the game, the feedback to the development team was brutal. The target audiences Nintendo was hoping to hit, families with children, found the games boring. Many didn't even want to play through entire rounds. In the bingo example, one player would use the Joy-Con to mind taking out a number before reading it off on the TV screen, a process that playtesters reported as tedious. The main mode of the game, the team battle mode, pits at least 2 teams of players against each other in various minigames. The mode prominently featured Horse, who would give color commentary during the games. During the localization process, sources started calling the game, quote, horse shit as shorthand."
Oh, that's not on the official Nintendo page?
No, and that's where I'm going to stop there. There's more for people to go and read from Imran's PSA, and I'll put it in the description. But largely, it's sort of speculation about whether exactly this would happen if the game would actually materialize.
Yes.
And it has.
Yes.
So, Tucker,
yeah,
this is the state of play. This is the information Nintendo's given us. This is the information that Imran has provided us with. Bearing now all this context in mind, getting a little bit deeper into Everybody 1-2-Switch, discuss.
Well, what I find most fascinating about this is not that they decided to make a sequel to 1-2-Switch, because that actually makes a lot of sense when we think about the other sort of family-focused party game, casual Blue Ocean software that Nintendo has put out. They usually do 2 or more variations of it. Yeah. Wii Sports got both Resort and Wii Sports Club. Obviously, Mario Party has a lot of these games. There's Wii Play and Wii Play Motion. And now 1-2-Switch was kind of just like, Jesus Christ! But 1-2-Switch was kind of just this weird one-off thing that they're like, what it was an interesting tech demo, but widely not liked. Yeah. But it did sell very well as one of the few launch games, and a game that did launch at cost less than the games around it. It sold pretty well, so it makes sense from both a historical perspective, them continuing on these kind of Blue Ocean concepts, and from okay, that game actually sold reasonably well, they would want to make a sequel from it. But I think that what interests me most about this game is that they're drawing inspiration from something I actually like.
Yeah, Jackbox
which
is
is
great.
Jackbox. Jackbox is fantastic, and frankly, that's the only party game that I have like a ton of experience with. When me and my friends hang out, of course, we would play something like Smash or other fighting games, but other than that, it was Jackbox. Jackbox Party Pack, Drawful, Quiplash. We would play Striplash. I'm not going to explain it, but we would. That was what we played in terms of party games. So Nintendo, to putting their spell on that at face value, is very exciting for me. I think that 1-2-Switch was very fun for me. I'm a much bigger defender of that game than most people are, and combining that with the idea of Jackbox that is a larger group of people rather than just one or two people still using that Nintendo Switch hardware and gimmicks to, spice things up in ways that other teams don't think of. I think that could be really cool. But from what we're hearing, it doesn't seem like they really know what to do with it. Nintendo's never made a game like this before. Of course, that's never stopped them from trying things and having them succeed occasionally, but their smartphone integration with their games is like half-assed and weird, and people don't like it, and it just doesn't seem like this is the thing that Nintendo wanted to do. Rather, they're just like trying to like capitalize on a concept rather than like, man, this is a great idea. I can't wait to do it. Oh wow, we came up with this on our own. It's like, no, they saw that Jackbox is very popular, and they're like, we got that 1-2-Switch brand sitting there. Why don't we smash these two together?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I personally would see it as cynically as that.
Sure, okay, that's
in
fair.
part because this is not a high resource intensive game in a traditional sense, but we're also talking about, as we can presume, again, FMV footage that had to be captured. Immortality in 1-2-Switch sort of at the phalanx of bringing back FMV videos in FMV video games, but this was an endeavor.
And Alone in the Dark coming soon.
This was
starring Jodie Comer and David Harbour. That's a thing. It's a real thing.
Silent Hill just has one of these now coming out too. I don't know if you saw that. Ascension, whatever. But
all coming from 1-2-Switch. And now everybody's 1-2-Switch. Everybody 1-2-Switch. A burgeoning genre.
The point being is I've never viewed 1-2-Switch for as bare bones as that package is in some respects, as a sort of low effort or low production value game. And, I wouldn't imagine that the production value here is going to be lower. So this was clearly, I think, deliberately conceptualized. And you got to remember that, especially if you're thinking back a little bit, maybe to when this game was being brought into pre-production, the Nintendo Switch Online smartphone app was an important component of launching an online service. So I don't think...
Well, it was a component.
Right, but to be fair, it was an integral component. It was their voice chat solution.
Sure. Integral is a good use of the word. Important, I would disagree with.
Sure, important to them, how about?
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think that the idea of them saying, let's make the smartphone a little bit more a component of the Nintendo Switch experience seems natural to me. And I'm actually in on the concept.
Sure, yeah, so am I.
Partially because I think Jackbox is really brilliant. I think that Jackbox is some of the best multiplayer that the medium has to offer. But I also think that it sort of falls into a couple tropes of like, frankly, Jackbox is the most fun when you're with your friends who you can say awful things, you can like write and draw awful things with.
Yes, lots of penises, lots of curse words.
Yeah,
lots of things I should not say on this show.
Yes, I don't. In my experience, I haven't found Jackbox to translate nearly as well to a more sort of family-friendly environment.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And the thing about 1-2-Switch is like, as Imran writes in the piece, people are bored by the idea of like pretending to do like the bingo lotto thing.
Mm-hmm.
In 1-2-Switch, you're really not doing very exciting actions in half those games either. So much of the fun of 1-2-Switch is, as the marketing for that game implied, and as the actual like screen shows you as you're trying to play, like look at each other. The joy of the game is in the sort of mundanity of the movements you're pantomiming with the controller in your hand.
Exactly.
I don't think that what is illustrated by example in that Fanbyte expose sounds any worse than 1-2 Switch. And to that point, I actually think the idea of ballooning that out, bringing as many people into the conversation, allowing you to play around with the microphone, allowing you to play around with these new ideas, sounds super fun. And for our sense of humor, you and me would be fucking dying with Horse giving us color commentary as we play the games. Yeah. I think that this is going to be cheesy. I think it's going to be groan-worthy. But frankly, I kind of think that's what it should be. I think this is going to be a fun icebreaker like 1-2 Switch was.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. And especially with the state of the Switch now being as popular and widespread as it is, and this game not costing very much, I frankly think that even if the game's not good, which by all accounts it's not, even if we're like maybe cautiously optimistic about it, even if the game's not good, I think Nintendo could have marketed this wider and had this be a bigger deal. Because if you say, hey, Nintendo Switch in 2023, we've got Tears of the Kingdom coming, ports of old games. It's going to be a big year for the Switch and for families because we've got all these Switches out there. You got Switch Lites, but actually this is probably not particularly compatible with that because you need external Joy-Con. And also put it on the TV. So not a good Switch Lite game, but hey guys, we're putting this out. We want this to be a big thing. Like, get everyone together. You got your phones. You got 100 million Switches in the world. Have fun. But I think that their marketing of this game being as truncated and even with its own announcement as microscopic as it is the part that, from what we know from Nintendo side, is what is communicating the least confidence in it for me. Not having a trailer, that's fine. There will be a trailer. It's just weird that there's not. But not having more explicit information about it. How many games are there going to be? Examples of games. It's just kind of strange. And because I think they could have marketed bigger, and it could have been a bigger deal, but I don't know if they want it to be a bigger deal because it's maybe not very good.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, as Imran leaves the piece on and sort of also frames it, Nintendo didn't know what to do with the game. And that piece was published almost a year ago to the date now. It's published on June 7th of 2022.
Wow.
So...
and the game was, I believe, done at that point in time. And they were just like, what? No one wants this.
Right. So there's a couple of possibilities. I think, frankly, the most likely is that Nintendo just said, look, the game is finished. It will sell. Let's just put it out. But there's also the possibility that they went back and they refined it. They spent
it's totally possible.
The last year retooling it in some ways and giving it that little bit of pizzazz, and maybe people felt like it was missing.
Well, maybe it's quite a lot like Tears of the Kingdom, a year in polishing.
It could be.
So, Game of the Year contender. Early Game of the Year contender, Abram?
We're getting to the point where I think it's now fair to call things a Game of the Year contender. Because there's so many good games. Another one actually came out 5 minutes ago as of when we were recording it. Street Fighter time. But the thing that gives me the most pause, in addition to this reporting, is what I feel like is the likely scenario that Nintendo's just putting it out anyway. And the lack of details here, to me, from them officially, just feels like an unforced error, because nobody was making you announce everybody 1-2 Switch right now, right? You put it out with a trailer, you put it out with a couple paragraphs about the different games included, and you have more screenshots, just so I've got something to dig my teeth into a little bit more, even as somebody who's going to buy it 100%. I would like to just sort of have a better understanding of it. Just for curiosity's sake, but as you're saying, also for marketing. I think Nintendo has shown time and time again that they don't give a fuck about the length of their marketing cycles. They know their games are going to sell a floor number of units anyway. But I don't think that just because it can sell doesn't mean you shouldn't also talk about it. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I have to say that I do like this concept a lot. I think, more optimistic about this game than a lot of people are. But it's also fair to note that I just inherently enjoy Blue Ocean software more than I think the average person does.
I mean, we'll have to see how this does in terms of overall sales. I think that the hardcore Switch market is not what this is for. And even for people who were hardcore Switch market when 1-2 Switch was coming out, they were getting that game because it was one of the few games you could get with the system, and because it was a new piece of hardware and that game was showing off what the system could do and its unique abilities. It was okay, sure. I saw what Wii Sports did, and that was fun to balance out something like Galaxy and Skyward Sword for the Wii, and now with Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch, okay, yeah, it's a unique balance. But I wonder if, even if the hardcore market is be like, shame on me, burn me once, shame on me, burn me twice, shame on me. What I fucked that up.
Shame.
Just shame everywhere, shame. But if this does end up selling, if they are able to make some commercials for it, if they're able to market it with a couple billboards in the window of fucking GameStop and Walmart or whatever, and if the casual market just sees it and is like, hey, Nintendo party game, it could do pretty well, even if it's not very good. So I'm fascinated by this game. And also we've got a few comments from a couple of people that on our server. They're not particularly lengthy, but we've got our friend Franz who reacted in a very large way to this when I shared it in our server. And he said, "I'm dying right now trying to figure that out if this is reality. Didn't this get leaked a while back, like exact name and everything? This is Nintendo's E3 bombshell right here." And I think what's interesting about that is that this, I think, still does not necessarily mean that there won't be other Nintendo announcements in the summer season, because we have seen even 2 years ago with Game Builder Garage that was announced outside of the context of the Direct, and we still had a normal Direct in the summer season. So I don't think that this means that we won't see more announcements coming soon.
Yeah, I have, since that February Direct, been of we're going to get more games mindset. And part of the reason I've said that is, like, Nintendo is choosing to go to Gamescom this year for the first time since 2019. Yeah. They are choosing
PAX.
Or no, they're doing Nintendo Live, which is the same time at PAX. They're choosing to not only be at Gamescom, but hold their own show, and after their last currently announced game for the year would have released. So it just
way after.
Nintendo's no stranger to a peculiar decision, but I think that would be an entirely new echelon of why, if you're doing this instead of games. The other thing that I think is important is that June 30th is before Pikmin 4 comes out.
Yes, it is.
In that
2 weeks.
If there was not a lot of software coming, I would have said, well, guys, let's put this in August, right?
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, because we have an entire back half of the year that doesn't have any games announced. And, okay, we already weren't expecting something in June, so if you announce this for middle of August, 1 month after Pikmin, that's your August title there. But now, June does have a title. June barely has a title at the end of it, the very tail end. And now that still leaves the end of the summer and then into fall for them to announce other games, even if they are, more other family-friendly stuff, another Mario Party game or whatever it is.
Yeah, the point is there's time. And I just don't think that if the year was this sort of vapid thing that some people are chalking it up to be, that they would be announcing more games in the already defined portion of the year. So, Who else do we have?
We've got one from the aforementioned Botox Games, who says, "I'm cautiously optimistic. Based on what Emily Rogers reported last year, it wasn't in very good shape, but I liked 1-2 Switch more than most people, so I'm excited to check it out." Now, the biggest detail, I think, about this game that I'd be really curious to see, and it's frankly, I think, my biggest disappointment for how little information is actually out there from Nintendo, is it's possible that this game has online support, because that's a big part of Jackbox, is people can play that, so one person streaming it over Discord or something, and then you can just log in from your phone in other locations and join in on the fun. And so that allows it to be a larger social experience because there's a lot more people contributing. Now, this game, from what we know, has big parties, big lobbies and stuff like that. And so it easily could be something that we were playing online together, that we could even play with Bo and some people on our Discord, which I think would be the absolutely the ideal way for us to experience this.
Yeah. Is there any way we could garner that information?
The only detail from anything that we've read today that might signal that to be the case, that it's sort of based on Jackbox, but Nintendo's fucking Nintendo, so it might not, like, they might not have taken that element. But is that somewhere you said, like, 100-person lobbies?
That's what Emerald says, yeah.
You can't do that locally.
No. I do think that online is fairly likely. I'm not seeing anybody here. I'm just looking online in a cursory way. I'm not seeing anybody talk about online. But like, yeah, there's nothing on the web page either that explicitly suggests that it's going to have online functionality. So,
well, there is it might just be default, but there is the NES Online thing, Nintendo Online at the bottom of that page. Yeah. But that might just be on the bottom of every page. I have no idea.
So, yeah, well, I was also interested about that, so I was just clicking around a little bit. That is on, like, the Origami King page, and there's no functionality for online Origami King.
At the very bottom, a Nintendo Switch Online membership sold separately is required for save data cloud backup. So that's not...
That doesn't mean anything either, because save data cloud backup is for
additional
every game.
Accessories may be required for multiplayer mode, sold separately. Nintendo account, compatible smart device, and internet access required. Okay, because that you're using your smartphone. Certain games only accessible in smart device mode. Players must be in the same room to play. There we go. We found it. Ladies and gentlemen, that 100-person room that's fucking false.
Where are you seeing that?
Very, very bottom. The last sentence at the very bottom of the page. Certain players must be in the same room to play. Data charges may apply.
Ooh, good spot. Spot. I don't see anybody talking about that. Okay, well, that frankly does lend some credence to this idea of the game being in some way fundamentally retooled then.
Yeah.
Since that reporting. However, it is still peculiar then by that token that there are so many fucking people in the key art. Now maybe
there are 10.
Now maybe Nintendo is just under the impression, as they were with 8-player Smash and things, that you're just gonna load up that couch. Yeah. So I don't know, but
10 people is a lot of people to have in one room playing.
Yeah, it does lend some credence to the idea that the game might be different. But that was a very good spot.
Yeah, we dug through that.
Eagle-eyed MF.
The bare bones amount of information they gave us, and we found the detail that we were looking for. The final comment comes from our friend Gravity, who says, "This is hilarious. I already knew about the rumors about how even the testing of the game went abysmally in terms of who is this game for, from what was told by insiders. So probably just we made this, so we got to ship it out situation." And do you think that's true? Or do you think that they have some more confidence in this? Even if it's just vibes-based analysis.
Vibes-based analysis says... Well, our sleuthing makes me feel like maybe some work has been done. But I do think that the sort of vibes-based analysis is that Nintendo probably wonders how bad could it really do.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, sure, yeah. Even if it's not received well in terms of financially... Maybe not the worst idea.
Yeah, I also just think it's the sort of game where you need to. I think this is the sort of thing you have to put out. Yeah, and you have to see. And I think a very 1-to-1 comparison in the situation with the poor playtesting. The Last of Us didn't play test to the degree of acclaim that it received. So
interesting comparison. There also are two elements of this announcement that are really like the biggest things about this, is that it's also launching alongside a whole new slate of Joy-Con colors, which is not necessarily a huge thing, but they look good, and it's party colors. It's a bunch of fun little different colors. And also it's getting a physical release, which I think does communicate slightly more confidence in it. It is getting it on store shelves, as opposed to it just being a downloadable only title that they could have just like stealth dropped 14 days. There's a little bit of preparation that goes into getting 4 Joy-Con colors and physical copies of games in stores within a month's notice.
Yes, but also Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the game they intended to only list for a certain amount of time, was in store shelves.
That's a good point.
8 days later, I believe, was the elapsed turnaround time between announcement and release. Game Builder Garage is physical. Big Brain Academy is physical. Yeah, I think Nintendo just recognizes one of the really interesting things about this sort of breakdowns of the Switch is that it skews heavily physical in terms of games sold. I want to say the margin is well over half. So I think they just know that they would be missing out on a significant amount of money if they didn't put the game out physically.
Yeah. Well, we don't have long to find out if we like this game. Frankly, it doesn't matter to me if the game is well received or not. If I'm able to get 5 or 6 of my friends over and we're able to fuck about for 3 hours, and that's my playtime with this game, and I'm like, hell yeah, that was worth $30. And the meme of owning everybody 1-2 Switch. I don't see a timeline where I'm sad that I spent $30 on this.
No.
So from that regard, hell yeah. I mean, tune back in 1 month and we will have our thoughts.
Yeah.
We're going to be the biggest Everybody 1-2 Switch channel. Backlog Banter is going to blow the fuck up because of the Everybody 1-2 Switch content.
Everybody 1-2 Switch will be this year's Pikmin Bloom for us.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Abram?
I just think it's funny that the character's name is Horse. I just think that's funny.
Well, that also could have been retooled.
Yeah, his name he could be named like Esteban.
Could easily could be.
Yeah. Name my horse.
Hey, was I right or was I right that this going to Twitter was more important than whatever the fuck you were doing at that moment?
You were definitely right.
You probably were. I don't know. You're just probably sitting there fucking talking about whatever. It's like, you got to stop what you're doing. This is you have to fucking check.
Yeah, it was just chit chat. It wasn't even ballyhoo or anything.
No, God. I would never presume to interrupt your ballyhoo with your girlfriend.
Well, here's the interesting thing.
I know you guys ballyhoo pretty hard.
Cyber ballyhooing.